Hello everyone, welcome to the Arts and Science Exchange Decision Matrix tutorial. My name is Haley McCormick and I am the Arts and Science Exchange Coordinator working in the International Programs Office at Queen's University. Today we're going to talk about the Exchange Decision Matrix, which is a research tool that arts and science students can use in preparation for their exchange application. It is also a mandatory component of the bilateral exchange application, so students are required to complete this and submit it with their application if they are applying for exchange. Today we're going to walk through what this tool looks like and how you will use it. Before we do so, I'd just like to acknowledge that this is a fantastic tool available for students. I really like it because I think it does two things really well. Number one, it asks students to think about what they need while on the program. So what do students need from partner universities to be successful and to be happy on the exchange program? Number two, it allows students to utilize that introspective work to guide their research. So when they are looking at partners, they are doing so keeping in mind what their needs are, and then the tool itself helps to objectively identify which partners best suit those needs. So it's really fantastic. In order to access the tool, you need to go to our website, which is www.queensu.ca/IPO. On our website, find the Exchange Outgoing Student section and click into the Apply web page. Once you do that, you'll be able to download this file, which, as I've mentioned, is an Excel document. And when you open it up, it's going to look like this. You'll note that the Excel document has two worksheets. One is called Your Decision Matrix. This is the part of the worksheet of the Excel document that you need to complete. So as you scroll through, you notice there's lots of blank spaces. Today, I thought it would be helpful if we could look at the other worksheet in the document, which is the sample matrix. This sample matrix has been completed in advance so that you can see what a full matrix looks like, so you have an idea of what you should be aiming for. When we look at the matrix, you'll note that there are a series of steps listed at the top. Please use those steps to guide you through the process. The matrix itself is divided into two sections. Let's start by looking at section number 1. This is the decision matrix itself. There is one part of this sample that I have not completed, and that is a very important part that I encourage you to complete. We need to know your name and your student number. If you're unfamiliar with Excel, I just want to demonstrate quickly how easy it is to actually input information. All I've done here is move my cursor to the cell that I want to add text to, and now I'm going to type my name. So Haley McCormick, and I'm going to make up a fake student number there. Once I've completed that first very easy step, I need to look at the decision matrix itself. You'll note it's a table, and I think there are 3 really important components of the table. The first one is the exchange criteria. At this early stage, the matrix is asking you to identify what the most important criteria is for you to study abroad. What do you need to see from a partner university to know that you will have a successful and hopefully very positive experience? We have mandated the first 4 criteria. All students need to complete these. They focus on academics, housing, term dates, and cost of living. The remaining 3 criterion are actually open. So I've gone ahead and input my own criterion that I would want to look at if I were a student. But these will be open when you go to complete the matrix. So you will need to reflect a bit on what you need to see in a partner and make sure that the information you put in here reflects your own needs. After you've done that introspective work, the matrix will ask you to move on to column C. It will ask you to assign a numerical value for each of the criterion listed in the matrix. And that numerical value, when added all together, they must all equal 100. You'll note on the exchange rubric, which is available on our website, that the reading committee is really looking for students to emphasize the importance of academics in their applications. And we therefore would like to see the criteria number 1, academic offerings, be weighted quite high. So I have done that by completing a value of 25 here. As I mentioned, this will all be blank in your own decision matrix, but you can just see an example of how this might look once it's fully completed, and note that it is equaling 100. I want to emphasize here that how I've completed this, this matrix is a reflection of me and what I would want to see as a student, and how you complete it should be a reflection of you. So you do not need to mimic or mirror the criterion and the values that I have listed here. Those should be fully and wholly representative of who you are and what you're looking for in the program. This is what I like to call the introspective stage of the matrix. So you'll do that work based on you. At this time, I would encourage you to go away from the matrix, save it to your computer, and do some research on our Finding University webpage. Come out to our events and make sure that you visit the websites of our partners. Once you have an idea of the partners you want to list on your application, you can move on to the second section of this matrix. As you'll know, when researching our application process, you can list between 1 and 6 schools on the application. The schools that are listed in your decision matrix should reflect the number of schools you are including in your application. That might mean that you have 1 school, that could mean you have 6 schools, or somewhere in between. You will not be penalized if you do not complete each of these columns. So again, it should reflect your application. And this is why we've included a little note here that says, I'm only including 4 universities on my application, so I'm choosing to leave these columns 5 and 6 blank. Once you've identified the schools that you are going to be including on your application, you will need to put their names here and their term dates here in column 14. Term dates are very important. Please ensure that you find the most up-to-date term dates as possible. Then you're going to take a focused look at each of the partners. You're going to look at your research, you're going to contrast that with your criterion, and you are going to rate the universities based on how well they fulfill or don't fulfill those criterion. You're going to use the table below the decision matrix to assign these ratings. So you'll note that we have a rating scale of 5 points, with 5 points meaning the exchange destination significantly exceeds your expectations in terms of the criterion, and 1 point meaning that it significantly falls short. So again, I have gone through in advance and I have looked at my research, looked at my criteria, and I have assigned ratings based on that scale. All I did was input my ratings into this column. I did not put any information in the points column. As you note, when you enter a number under the ratings column, the points column automatically generates the number of points that the university gets for that criterion. So I'm going to revert that. And I would do this process for each of the universities. And at the end, a winner, if you will, or a top choice or a top ranked school will appear. And in this situation, it was the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill. So as our little comment here notes, the top exchange school as the total score came out the highest. This is really helpful because it will also help you to determine how we were going to list the universities on your application. This is something we know that students can sometimes struggle with. At this point, you've completed half of your decision matrix. You now need to scroll down to the second half, which is the research and sources section. In this section of the matrix, you are going to look at each of your criterion. You're going to provide a justification for that criterion and connect that with the highest rated university. So in my case, that's the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill. So as you'll note here, I have focused on academics, talked about how UE helps me fulfill, or how UE fulfills, UE is the University of the West Indies, fulfills that criterion for me. So I talk about specific courses that, would really help me learn about the field if I was in biology, and with my grad school applications, I talk about the emphasis that UE places on featuring Caribbean issues in their courses. And I talk about the work that I have done to ensure that I am on track academically, because that factors into that criterion for me. And that's where I've included the information. Over here, I've included the resources that I use. So IPO website, UWE's webpage. I went to the fair and talked to someone, and I talked to my department too. I'm going to include this justification and my sources for each of the criterion, including the additional criterion that I added to the matrix myself. And when I'm done, I'm going to get a friend or a peer or a family member or someone I trust to read through my justification and make sure that it's clear and my points are coming across strongly. At that time, I'll be super happy because I will know I am done the exchange decision matrix. I'll be ready to save it and upload it to my application, which I know is due by 4 p.m. January 15th, 2021. Hopefully this was a helpful tutorial and introduction to the exchange decision matrix. I encourage you to send any questions you have to ipo@queensu.ca or contact us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all with our handle @QueensUIPO. You can directly message us with any questions that you have there. Thank you so much. I hope you stay safe and well and wish you all the best with your research and your application.